Live. All right, I'll just quickly close all my non-related tabs. How exciting
I'll
is
find
it?
a link we can tweet out.
I'll give it a retweet.
To this. Oh, it's down here, links.
And then what I'll do for the final video is I'll probably download it from YouTube and like cut out like this beginning bit and stuff. Just want to do the blog post. I will copy that link and go to Twitter. To watch is it the Larkin? On YouTube. Oh, no, I didn't manage to copy the link. This is going well so far.
I'll beat you to it.
Oh, you really will. Chat. Copy link address. Yeah, got there eventually, probably after you.
There we go. Boom.
Boom. All right, so I guess people can start. Oh, there we go. I just saw yours. I beat you.
Me.
Yes, wicked. All right, well, we'll see if anyone does pop along. I don't know if we can see on here if anyone's watching, but there is a chat, I suppose, so anyone can interrupt if they happen to be.
Is that the chat? Can we see it? Maybe
the top left. Is everyone? I think can public people,
that's
people who are
chat.
streaming, be in that? Is that just our chat?
I think that one's ours.
There's a Q&A thing.
There is.
I guess people can. Yeah, anyone who is watching, maybe just tweet us if you do have any particular questions. I guess. Whilst we figure out how it's work. But cool. So I think we're. I think.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna go. I'll go to that video and I'll go to that channel and watch the chat just in case.
Thank you. I'll keep an eye on Twitter notifications as well. Cool. Perfect. Yeah, no idea if anyone is watching, but we'll see.
Yeah, I got one so far.
Oh, hello, that one person.
Saeed Jama, I think. I probably butchered the name, but hi, Saeed.
Yeah, I'll do some magic editing afterwards. Let's do it. So, yeah. So, hey everyone, my name is Jack. I'm joined here by Sean, who's the webpack team, I guess. Is that your official title?
Yeah, maintainer.
Maintainer.
Yep, core team.
Wicked. And yeah, basically, I jumped on. I messaged Sean asking if he'd be contribute to webpack for the very first time. Having seen recently that there's a lot of kind of ES 2015 refactoring that can be done now. Webpack has dropped 12, I think, and moved to Node 4.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I thought that'd be a good example for me to contribute to Webpack. And I thought maybe if we could do it on a Google Hangout that we can record and then post later on YouTube, maybe anyone else who's looking to contribute to, you know, one of the probably the most prominent open source projects there is in terms of JavaScript anyway, it might be a useful resource. So that's what we're going to do today, really. Thank you very much, Sean, for taking the time to hop on and help me.
Of course. Absolutely.
So let's hope we can go smoothly. To kind of keep it genuine, we haven't really prepared too much. Like all we've done is find a file that I'll work on, so we know which file we're going to be using. And I've just cloned and forked and cloned the Webpack repository and installed everything. But that's it. Like we haven't got all the code written. We're going to do it completely live. It could go horribly wrong, but hopefully in the course of this video, we'll edit some code, push it to GitHub, make the pull request, and then if we're lucky, Sean might even review it in front of our very own eyes via Hangouts. Cool. So I think we're sharing my screen, hopefully. Can you see my screen, Sean? It's a good starting point.
Yeah.
Cool.
You're using Vim?
I am using
taking you for a Vim guy.
Yeah, I'm using Vim within a Tmux session for extra nerd
fancy.
Yeah, I've been using Vim for like 5 or 6 years. I have recently been delving into, I think you use, is it VS Code or Visual Studio Code?
Yeah, I use VS Code. I enjoy it's very light. It's good for large repos
Yeah,
like Webpack.
and a lot of people who I follow on Twitter who have used Vim a lot are kind of talking about that. So I've been trying that out. But I think I'm still trying to break 5 or 6 years worth of muscle memory at the moment. So I'm still in Webpack, still in Vim for now, but we'll see.
Makes sense.
So yeah, all I've done is I've gone to GitHub, I've clicked fork on the Webpack repo, I've got my own version of it, I've cloned that down, and then to install it, I just ran yarn, and then there's a couple of steps in the contributing markdown file, basically this setup here. So I've git cloned, although I've cloned my fork rather than the original repo, installed yarn, run yarn install, then run the yarn link and yarn link webpack, and that works fine. I've ran yarn test just to confirm that it is all configured properly, and I do have all the tests running, and that's great. So at this point, I'm kind of ready to set up and get going. So I'm on the master branch of my fork. Now, something I would do typically if I was going to make a pull request is I'd actually do it from not the master branch. So I'd do it from a branch that described what the work was. I don't know if that's something you prefer, Sean, or not, as someone who reviews probably way more pull requests than I ever will. But typically my first step would be to like git, I've got the alias, it's git checkout -- branch, is it? And then the new branch name.
Yep.
So I would call this like refactor, and I know we're going to use the entry options plugin as our refactoring point plugin.
Yeah, that works just fine.
And I've of course got my git knowledge. I've got an alias for it, but I can't actually remember what it is. Git checkout -b refactor. So I'll say refactor entry options plugin. And now I'm on that new branch. This is the branch I'll then push to GitHub, and then I'll make the pull request from my fork on this branch into the Webpack master branch.
Perfect.
This is also particularly nice if on my fork I might have 2 or 3 different pull requests to Webpack at once. I can do that because I don't have all the work on the master branch. So that tends to be why I split them all up into their own branches. Not that I'm making tons of pull requests every day, unfortunately.
You're not?
No, not yet. Working on it. We'll start with this one and then we'll see how we go. I mean, I'm also assuming you will accept this pull request, but who knows?
We'll find out.
Yeah, exactly. So the file that Sean has kind of picked out for us as a good one to work on. So Sean, do you want to just give a quick description of what this code is doing?
Hey, sorry.
Oh, we just had a lag for a minute there. That's right. I can.
Okay, so essentially,
Wicked.
So like, I guess too long didn't read version is that 80% of Webpack source code is actually made of the same plugins you use in your configuration. And so what's really neat about that is that it makes this really modular and flexible. And so the plugin that we're looking at right now has one purpose, and it's essentially to take the entry property from your configuration, decide whether or not it is store an array, and then it is going to pass it off to a separate single purpose plugin to set your entry point.
Cool. So this is literally when I say entry and I give it an object with main that maps to main.js, this is run through that plugin which passes it and figures out which plugin to then use, either single entry or multi-entry to kind of do the rest.
Yeah, if you wanted to get really crazy, you could actually take and you could actually put this plugin in your config and it would probably and pass like an entry point or the same arguments it's looking for, and it would probably have the same behavior as adding an entry point. Cool.
And the work we're going to do today is to basically just ES 2015 this up. Webpack now supports Node 4, right, as its lowest version. So that means we're able to use a lot more of the ES 2015 features that we weren't able to use when Webpack was on 0.12.
That's right. And come a long way.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to do today. Keep saying the wrong things. You also have to forgive me because it's like 11:30 here and my brain's all over the place in the evening. But so you can run the full Webpack test suite, and it takes, on my machine anyway, it took about 4 minutes to run, which isn't too bad. But obviously, we don't want to be doing 4-minute runs every single time that we. Sean has showed me a way to just run a kind of small selection of tests. So I will find that now if I go up through my history. So we use npm bin to get the location of the locally installed version of Mocha, which is a test framework. And then we run --grep to filter for only particular tests. In this case, one's called config test cases, or that have config test cases in the description of the test, I believe.
Yep, it's inside the string for the describe.
Runs in 168, which is a smaller subset of the Webpack tests. But these
Do you
tests
want to try and break it and show them that the test would work?
Yeah, so we break. Let's just change multi here to single. That should break.
Yeah, probably.
So there we go. I've got some errors. So the config test cases are a bunch of tests that kind of presumably test a bunch of configuration stuff, and the entry option plugin with configuration and parsing it. So we can see here that I do have an error. Request.replace is not a function. They're probably all going to be that, aren't they? But that's a bunch of errors because I've now broken the code effectively. So what we'll do is, as we go through this file, when we make significant changes, we'll run the test regularly so we know when we've broken something. And just to double check, I will undo my work and we should see all those tests go again. So it's good to me.
Nice.
Cool. So from looking at some of the other Webpack pull requests, Sean, I believe the way we're doing this now is we'll create a class called entry option plugin with an apply method. So maybe our first step could be to replace this function, the prototype.apply, with a class.
Yeah, totally.
Cool. So I'm going to go up here. I'll change this to a class. And then do you like the module.exports below the class declaration, or would you put it, can it even go above? I think it can.
So we haven't decided on it yet because we have kind of a mix. I've seen both. I kind of prefer underneath, but I think most people have been saying do module.exports equals class entry option plugin, and then the block.
Like so, I'll delete that. So then the only function that, or the only method rather, we need to apply on this particular class is the apply method. So I'll just do apply, which I can't type, compiler. And then I'll just grab all this stuff and put it in there effectively. And then remove the old apply, and I'll just indent that properly. Cool. So now we again can run all these tests to confirm that I haven't done something too stupid. And that looks pretty good. So that's like the case of refactoring that would do on any of these Webpack files. And I'm just looking through the source code. I can maybe change this item to plugin function to be an arrow function. I guess that depends on like your opinion, Sean, and if that's kind of the style of the Webpack code base or not. But other than that, there isn't too much more to this kind of main function that we can probably.
Yeah, this one's really not too bad.
Yeah.
Maybe I picked a too easy one. I can
yeah, we can maybe do another. What are your thoughts on arrow functions? Like, would you change this function here, the one after the plugin, for example, or do you tend to leave them as is?
So for those, I do use arrow functions. You just have to be careful. So as you can see, there's different, the compiler.plugin method is actually part of the plugin system that lets you listen into events that are emitted from different, objects. So like the compiler, sometimes the compiler will return a value or have a property that you can also plug into. So sometimes you'll have some of those nested functions. And so the only thing I'd say is just be careful when you go a couple levels deep to make sure that if you do lose your contextual that in like a variable or something like that to continue through the scope. But yeah, we like arrow functions. It looks overall better.
Cool. Well, we can certainly do, there's a couple places here where we can do an arrow function just while we're here. So I'll do that one. And then I think down here, this for each as well, we could probably change.
Yep, totally.
That's the name. And then we could even bring this all onto one line and ditch those, I think. Done that correctly? But I can find out if I've done that correctly, which is the nice thing about it.
That is the best part.
Yeah. It's the worst when you go to refactor something and then you go to run the test and realize there aren't any tests. Like,
oh, yes.
I won't do that, or I'll spend ages writing tests first.
Just as scary for us too.
Yeah, I bet. And yes, that's about it. Would you? So something that's bugging me here is the lack of braces around this if else.
Yeah, that's actually kind of our in our style guide though. So Tobias originally is a C# developer, and so like
it's bugging me in terms of my preference, but I guess it's there on purpose and is the style of.
Trust me, same here.
Objectively,
I like the braces always, but I'm actually starting to get used to it a little bit. But yeah,
cool. Yeah, I've had pull requests on projects before that have like changed the entire coding style of the project, and it's like, whilst the work here is good, I think it can be frustrating for maintainers when they have PRs like that, because I think really me as the person trying to contribute here to Webpack is I should like maintain the coding style and the preference of the author or the team that builds the project. So like if this was my code and this was my project, I would certainly put braces around this if else, but like I'm going to leave it here because it's clearly the style of Webpack, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And if you want to double check, you can run npm run lint, and we can just verify that the linting is correct as well.
Yeah. So shall I put braces around this?
Oh no, I'd leave them off, and I think for that we will throw linting errors for, so it'll probably fail our CI once you pushed it.
Oh, cool. Okay. So I can just run npm run lint to kind of check all my code. Such.
Oh yeah, we got a question from Tom Fletcher. He goes, well, wait, shouldn't the other one follow the same guide?
Yeah, so that was going to be the next question, is we seem to have two different code styles in one file.
Well, heck, we should make it at least one or the other. What do the errors say?
So that was when I ran npm run lint. Let's have a look. It's got one error.
What's it say?
Oh, class is in non-strict mode and not yet supported on node v4.
There you go.
So I need to put a use strict in here, I guess. It's like so. Semicolon.
Nice.
Cool. So
I guess we don't have any styling lint on other. So I guess I'm contradicting myself. Why don't we put? You could choose whichever one you like.
Right. I'm also wondering if we could really go ES 2015 and make this an arrow function and make it a ternary instead, and try and get it shorter. But I'm thinking that might be a bit over the top. So I'm gonna.
For sure.
Like part of me wants to write array.isArray item and then do like that, but I think actually there's going to be quite a lot, so that will get quite long. So probably just leave it as so. I think sometimes with ES 2015 and arrow functions, it's really tempting to squish it all into like one big line and like not have any return keywords ever.
So true.
Like it when it is possible to do that. I think sometimes it's easy to forget that we can just have regular functions over a few lines with regular ifs and returns. Yeah, I wonder if ESLint has a rule for around conditionals. Potentially we could do another, maybe that's for something else.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
Such a rule. Yeah, so maybe that's one I can follow up this video with. But I have just done a refactor, so I'll check the test and then we'll run ESLint again and see that that's looking good.
Sweet.
And I don't think in this file there's too much else that we could here, not that I can see in terms of ES 2015. So the tests are passing, and we'll run lint as well. And at that point, I guess, presuming this is nice to me and we do pass, which we have passed, we can, I guess I'll commit this and push this up to GitHub. That would be the next thing I do, unless you think I've like missed anything or missed any steps.
No, that's perfect. That's all it takes.
That's all it takes.
Oh wait, you know what? I do see one thing.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead and switch over that var to a const. up at the
good spot. So
for both of those. We haven't switched it over yet. We will use prefer const as a rule for ESLint, but we haven't gotten there. Saves you the trouble later, or me the trouble.
Absolutely. So yeah, and I'll just run tests again. I'm the kind of paranoid type of person who runs a lot, like it tests a lot. So
you and me both.
Double check. Yeah. Cool. And I've just realized, well, there was one other thing I forgot to mention, because the lowest version of Node that Webpack supports is version 4. I was running Node v6 locally, but I've swapped to Node 4 here so I can do this pull request. That's important in this case because we're doing like native ES 2015 features. If I was running Node 6, add some ES 2015 features that are only supported in Node 6 rather than Node 4. So I back down to Node 4 for the purposes of this pull request.
Yes.
Generally, if you're maintaining a project, it's best to work on that project and the lowest common denominator.
If you use the text editor, you could probably have some good ESLint support, because we have a Node ESLint plugin that looks to the engine that we support and says,
cool.
Only those rules for that version of Node will be supported. It's a great plugin.
Oh, nice. That's cool. Yeah, I do have ESLint and Vim set up somehow, but it doesn't seem to have picked up for this project. That's probably because my dot files are a mess. I'll look into that another time. Cool. So at that point, we're kind of in a position now where we're ready to commit this and push this up. So I will kill Vim. Don't need Vim anymore. And then we'll look at the diff. So you can see we've just changed paths to constants, and then we've rewritten the plugin in ES 2015 as a class, which is excellent. So I'll add that file. Try to avoid using my aliases so it doesn't confuse everyone. So I'll do git add. And then if we look at git status, so you've got that modified. So then I'll do git commit. And I've personally taken to always doing git commits this way. So I write a more descriptive commit message rather than doing like a little inline git commit -m in the message. So here I'll write refactor entry option plugin to ES 2015 class. And if there was more information needed, I could write like a longer message here and add more detail. But in this case, there really isn't. So I'll just leave it like that. That commit. So I'll push it up to my branch. So I'll push it onto origin and then the name of my branch. Cool. So I've now pushed that to my fork. There's a really cool tool by GitHub called Hub, which is like a command line tool for interacting on Git repos that are on GitHub. Yeah, so it's really cool. So I'm called Hub pull request, which will let me create the pull request from the command line. That's a bit over the top because I don't want to, like, if people don't have Hub, that might seem a bit magical. But one of the other useful commands is Hub browse. So if I hit that, it's now going to go and open this branch for me on my fork. So I'm now on this branch that I just pushed, and I can immediately hit the compare and pull request button. And what I do typically, obviously, I don't do too many pull requests, but what I tend to do at this point is, I'll come back to this in a second, is I'll look through the change again myself on GitHub. I think it's quite a nice another review step. Often if I've been looking at code in my editor for ages, I won't spot a mistake, but I will spot that mistake immediately on GitHub, just I think because like it changes the scenery a bit. Fine, it all looks good. And now I've got to go through all this here. So this is like a template, right, that you can define.
It is. So I think maybe we need to make it a little bit easier for people to understand where things go, but you can leave those in there and they won't be shown. That's why they're in the comment syntax. So cool. As long as you put it underneath the bolded markdown, you're good.
Nice. Cool. So what kind of change? Refactors, entry option, plugin, 2015. 2ES 2015, I guess. Did you add test field changes? In this case, I haven't, but it's not. There's no new functionality. So I guess I put no new functionality. Update isn't relevant because things actually changed here visibly. Healthy 2015 efforts and record a video on contributing to Webpack. And then that's it, really. So at this point, I hit create pull request. So I've now made a pull request from this branch, that refactor entry options plugin, into the Webpack master branch. It's going to run, I guess, on the CI that the Webpack set up. And I just sit tight for a nice friendly maintainer to come along and check my work, I guess.
That's right. So technically, it's funny you mentioned that, because I actually will get a notification every time I see that. So maybe I can find it. We have a continuous integration hookup, so I can see immediately that, oh, hey, look.
Oh, has it failed?
Oh, no, these are some previous ones, but I can see, where's code review? Sorry. There we go.
Sorry, I've only just started watching a screen. Oh, cool.
But, okay, so let's take a look and just do a little quick code review and see what we got here.
Yeah.
Oh, it did fail. Let's look.
Yeah, I've broken it.
Let's take a look and see what it is. No, I guess a new version of Node just came out, so this is a flake. I've seen AppFair report this a bunch of times. So we can take a look. So the first thing I usually do is take a look and see if you signed the CLA. So if you haven't signed the CLA, do so.
Cool. Should we, by the way, should we swap, rather than I'm showing my screen, which is seeing your screen, which is probably weird for people watching. So if I stop sharing my screen, you can share yours.
Oh yeah, I think if you just cut yours off.
Oh, if I just hit stop, will that do it?
Yep.
Cool. Right. Okay, so I need to go and sign the CLA.
Exactly.
All right, so I will go and do that. We ask you to sign this, so I just click this. CLA assistant, okay.
Awesome.
So I'm just authorizing the CLA assistant to run against my GitHub, and now I'm going to sign that.
And this just protects us as an organization, saying like, oh, this is my code, and if you were to ever monetize this, or what is it, or if we said it didn't belong to us, then I could pull it out at any time. And since we're a non-profit open source organization anyways, it's just part of a requirement for the JS Foundation. So yeah, it just keeps the code to belong a part of the community and nobody else. So that's what the CLA is for.
Perfect. So I've just signed that. So hopefully the bot will momentarily leave another comment.
Heck yeah, it should kick. It should kick in right away. We'll see.
Yeah, it's updated its comment.
Nice. Okay, so I'll take a look at Travis and see how far we got on here. I mean, I haven't looked at the code yet, and our Travis runs a little bit slow because we've had a huge influx of PRs currently. So you're get in line. You're down the list a bit.
All right, that's right. When we publish this video in a more edited form, we can always cut some waiting time if need be.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So this looks pretty harmless to me as far as I can tell. Entry option. Sometimes I actually like to view the code as is by itself first, and then I'll go back in and compare it. So class entry option plugin. If type of entry is string, or if it is an array, then we send it with main. Yeah, so something that's interesting is that like every entry has to have a name, but if you don't use a object or a, then you don't have keys for multiple entry points. And usually those keys represent the name. And so you can see here that by default, we're naming that entry point main. Yeah, so if you use like the name interpolation syntax in the output property, that's where it comes from. Object.keys. So for each entry, add an item and then make the key be the name. So yeah, that's exactly the logic right there. So I guess technically the first thing I would probably do is jump back to PRs and mark this as a refactor. It's just a little bit easier for me to keep track of. And we've been, like I said, had a huge influx. Investigate if direction is fine. this tells other core team members or contributors that this can be reviewed. And then, but I already know that the direction is okay. But we also have some other ones like finished details, test needed, etc.
Cool.
So let's jump back in and I'll just change it really quick since I already know. Give my review. Looks great. Hope you didn't use Vim. Just kidding. I don't really have anything against Vim. I just like getting trolling the Vim users. Okay.
That's all right. I like trolling the non-Vim users.
Looks good. Pending CI. Is this your first PR? It is. So I have a little Chrome extension.
My first Webpack PR.
I have
Oh, that's cool.
That tells me. So
nice.
Submitting your first PR.
Wicked.
Yeah. And then I'll change this to merge it. Boom. That is all she wrote.
So that is that.
That is that.
So I guess there's no real point sitting around for the CI, which should hopefully pass anyway. So once it passes, it will be merged in, and then I guess, what's your, like as a contributor who just had a PR merged, how would I roughly know when, like the final or a release, for example? Is there like a regular schedule or anything, or is it kind of done as and when?
So since we're in release candidate right now, we don't have, we're on our final stages for it actually being released. So even though the changes that you've made will get merged into master, hopefully relatively quickly, especially if it's a ES5 to ES6 conversion, you may not see a new version published right away, at least until it may be your code will be part of the Webpack final release, which is kind of cool in itself.
Cool. Yeah. Nice. Cool. So I guess and if there are other people watching this wanting to find like a similar file to ES2015-FI, we picked one from the lib directory, right, of the Webpack repository, and that's kind of the best place to go and look.
That's right. The first thing I would recommend is check the pull requests that are already out there. You could even filter by refactor and see which ones are still open. And then just make sure, that way not to already work on something that is already in progress. But yeah, it's as simple as taking a look at any of the files in lib. And the only advice I can give is sometimes we do have some inheritance. And so you want to make sure that if you are, or if the class that you're working on is, how would I describe this? If it has super classes underneath, or I'm sorry, subclasses underneath that are extending it, you would need to refactor those first before you refactor that one. But otherwise, have at it.
Cool. Well, Sean, thank you very much for taking the time to hop on the call and kind of guide me through that process. It's also very nice to be able to contribute a very small PR back to Webpack, which is really cool. And yeah, so what we'll do is, obviously this video has been live, but we'll also kind of grab the recording on YouTube as a baby screaming or whatever that is. Yeah, we'll put kind of a blog post up. In the blog post I'll link to that pull request that I just wrote so people can look at it, and a few other resources that you've mentioned, and the contributing guide. So we'll call it a day or a night, and yeah, hopefully for those who are watching, if there is anyone that was useful. And Sean, thank you very much, and I'm sure I'll chat to you again soon on GitHub or Twitter.
All right, sounds good, man. Have a good one.
All right, wicked. You too. Thank you again, and yeah, we'll catch you later.